Hello, this is Kirby Air-Ride All Tracks. This is my current PB in this category, and in this video, I'm going to be commentating over it for the SGDQ submission. So there are 3 different air rides that we're going to be using throughout this run. I'm going to be starting off with the 2 most least used air rides. Basically what this run is I'm going to be going through the 9 tracks of the air ride mode, which is one of the main speed running modes in this game. It has time trials built in, which is what I'm running through here. Each track is going to be gone through the time trials because that makes it so the enemies are always in the same place, and it's just better for speed running instead of having all the enemies appear in random spots. So we're going to go through here, starting off with Rocket Star. The main strat with Rocket Star is getting all of the power-ups that are in the route to get. Basically, getting the needle power-up and the sword power-up, that's what I'm going to be trying to do the most. The reason for that is because they're able to kill enemies the easiest. Now, you get a speed boost for killing enemies, and you also get a speed boost on some air rides after landing on the ground. We're not going to be using any of those air rides specifically, but the main thing that we're going to be doing with Rocket, other than getting the certain power-ups that we need, is we're going to be tapping A a lot. You don't want to hit the walls. The walls will slow you down a lot. So basically, you want to be tapping A a lot to keep your handling and from smacking into walls. So that first one was Fantasy Meadows. That's the quickest track in the game. And now we're going to go into Magma Flows. Now the thing with Magma Flows is right here, as you see, I do a kind of momentum strat where I carry my momentum from getting these double boosts on these green boost pads. Basically, you could tap A twice on those green boost pads if you tap quick enough. And if you do it in that volcano spot, in the lava area, if you do a double boost on each of those, you could get a lot of speed, and then you can hold your charge a lot earlier. So basically, then you could charge around the current cliff, which I'll point that out now that we're getting back to it. But that's another thing too with Rocket. It's all about charging and using your charges wisely. So see how I get a lot of speed there? Then I could start charging really early and make it around this turn. Also, I want to get bombed there, so I can immediately throw it away. And then I could go over here and grab this sword so I could cut these enemies down this path and get more of a speed boost. So yeah, that's another thing, double boosting. Now also, I'm going to be boosting, or I'm going to be charging in very specific places. And it's very cool because with this air ride, we see a lot of charging use. But with the main air ride I'm going to be using in this category, we're not going to see any charging, or very little. So I'm charging on these rails to get a nice boost off the rail, and then also charging once you get right on makes you go fast throughout the entire rail. Now I got hit by that enemy. All the stage hazards are all on cycles. It's not RNG. There's very, very little RNG in this speedrun. There's a little bit with the enemy movements. Enemies can have strange movements. They're like on different paths. They could either go in 1 or 2 different ways, and sometimes that messes it up for being able to grab them. Usually it doesn't, but in some cases later on in the run, I will point that out. Now we're going to be using the second air ride here. This is Slick. Basically, the thing with Slick Star is when you start charging, it holds that direction that you're charging in. So you could turn to the right. And then as you see there, I'm able to do a big long side charge down that slope. Then if I let go at just the right moment, I could enter that cave and carry my momentum through that cave. So as you see, we're going to be using a lot of momentum abuse. And I'm going to be doing that 2 more times throughout this. By the way, each track has 3 laps except for... No, yeah, they all have 3 laps. So... Now I'm going to be side boosting here. Now this is what we call snaking. It's not like very impressive thing, but we don't really have a better name for it. But basically, it's for going straight when you're going for long distances and you can't on slick and you can't really do anything else. Basically what you do is you get a charge and then you turn to the right, shoot off your charge, turn back to the right, and keep building up your charges. So you're basically just creating boosts over and over. which don't save a lot of time, but it improves your basic moving speed while going straight or while just going down a path where you can't really turn, which is the big reason why Slick is only good in this level, which is, well, why it's only really fast in this level. Slick is not a bad star overall, but the main thing that makes it fast in this level is the turns, because with the turns, you can use this strat where you're charging in one direction and then you turn to immediately snap to the next direction. So basically with Slick, you could turn on a dime and completely to what you want to go to, or to the direction that you want to go to. Right here, I'm boosting on these turns to get a little speed boost off them, just more momentum stuff. So now we're done with all of those. Now we're done with all the random air rides, and now we're going to go into the main air ride, which is the wheelie scooter. The wheelie scooter is the fastest air ride in this game, and the main reason is because that thing that I'm doing right now, this is a momentum glitch called the spin dash. Basically what you do is you get a quick spin, or you could get a regular spin, but basically to get a quick spin, you have to hit right to left real quick or left to right real quick. And then you run into any wall it has to be basically a straight wall though. On this track specifically, there's very specific spots that you can spin dash on, and I'll be pointing those out after I explain the spin dash. But basically, you hit the wall at that angle, at that certain angle. I think it's a 45-degree angle, and then you hold the charge and boost button. By the way, this game has basically two controls. The A button, which is also mapped to L and R, so you could do everything that you do with the A button with L and R. And I do use L and R in the beginning when I'm charging up a boost, and I am also trying to zoom out at the same time. So A charges you, A picks up power-ups, A hits the green boost pads, A hits the pink pads, and yeah. So then the control stick obviously moves you around and lets you spin. And then you can also use the D-pad, which is what I'm using for all these spin dashes here. The D-pad is the fastest way to get good spin dashes, specifically on this level. We think it's because of how precise the direction is that you hold while you're doing the spin dash. But yeah, so basically, just to finish explaining it, you spin, you hold A for a second, and then you let go of whatever, whether you're using control stick or D-pad, you let go of that a split second before you let go of A. So basically, I'm using the D-pad here. Now, the quickest way, the best spin dashes to get while using D-pad are down left spin dashes or down right, depending on what wall you're running into. So right now I'm holding down right. So on the D-pad, I'll go left, right, and then down right, and then hold it for a second, and then let go the D-pad right before I let go A. Basically, though, that makes it so the spin dash is the longest it can be. And then releasing the D-pad or control stick before you release A is to make it so you have a good release, so you shoot off of the wall, and then you could immediately do another one. So now we're going to go into Checker Night here. And the main thing with Checker Night is cycles. That was also the main thing with Magma that I forgot to mention, is it's all about the cycles. So as you saw, there were those little ramps. They're all cycle-based, and depending on how fast you go, you can get good cycles. Now, the same thing goes with Magma. With Magma, you wanted that middle wall fork in the path. You wanted that middle one. The right one is the second fastest, and the third one, or the left one, is the third fastest. So, but right here, I'm going to be doing a lot of wall boosting alongside of spin dashing. And wall boosting is basically, I'll explain what I just did right there in a second too. But wall boosting basically is, on some walls, you're able to turn into them and hold your charge. And usually on those walls, you can't spin dash. There are some walls that are unspin dashable. But yeah, then there are some walls where you can just like hold your boost and you will slide down it. Now, this game has a weird mechanic where basically, I don't think it was made on purpose, but basically every air ride gets some kind of boost for running. I think every air ride has ability to be able to get some kind of boost by boosting into the walls or by running into the walls. But only some air rides can actually access that ability, and Scooter is like the main one. But also with Swerve Star is a air ride where you basically we used to use it in this run, but now that we got good with Scooter, we're able to do this instead and get a lot faster times. Although it is a lot less consistent, but that's what makes it fun. But with Swerve, basically, it sends you in one direction. You can't really move around. To move around, you have to hold A to stop yourself, then to move around from there. So basically, what you could do is you angle Swerve Star into the wall at a certain angle, and then you just spin over and over, and you get a lot of speed from that. So right here, I'm going to do another spin dash and then let go before the end. Then another spin dash here. Also, I'm switching between using the D-pad and the control stick for different spin dashes. Some spin dashes use different or call for different things. Also, that is another momentum thing. Basically, you couldn't really see it, but after one of those green boosts, there's a little root, and that pops you up. And basically, if I hold A, right before I hit that, I keep my speed from that root, and then I'm able to hold it through all of those green boosts, and it continues ramping up my speed until eventually I'm just going the same speed, even though I'm holding A, which should be slowing me down, but it makes my speed go a lot faster. So that tornado guy who was right up there, basically he is the only thing of RNG. Well, one of the only things of RNG in this run. He could be closer to that opening, and if he is, then I could grab him, and I could use him right here to spin through those enemies, and then go up this ramp, and it could save about a second or two. This level is Sky Sands, and this level is all about getting good enemy cuts, really like chaining through enemy kills, and being able to keep good boosts from doing that. So yeah, this level is all about killing the enemies. Here's some more wall boosts. Just a couple wall boosts to keep it going. And then right here's another spin dash. I've been working on that spin dash a little bit recently too. So this level is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm going to talk about the Japanese version, which is what I'm using. So the Japanese version in this speedrun does not save on text, since there is no text in the speedrun. But what it does save on is that the air rides are basically programmed lighter. So they decrease speed slower, which basically means that they could keep their momentum for longer, and they go farther on a hole. So basically, getting JP saves about 20 seconds, but all because of skill. It basically makes it easier to get faster times, and it is the best version for trying to get fast times. So that is why we use JP, and it's a pretty cool version. There aren't many differences other than that I've seen, but there is sometimes some weird things in Magma happen. But right here, that is just there's just a couple frame windows to hit that jump. And then right there, what I was trying to do, but that's another instance of RNG. Basically, that bird and that ice can spawn closer together, and then they can move closer together. And basically, if they do that, you can grab both of them, and that starts the mix. There is a mix in this game, just like other Kirby games, and basically it starts cycling through all the different power-ups, and you have to hit the whatever one you want. So basically, with two different enemies, with the bird and the ice, when the mix runs out, it will always turn into a sword, and that each enemy pairing has its own power up that it will always turn into, as long as you don't select the mix, because after like about 5 seconds or less, the mix runs out, and then you'll be able to get a sword. So that was the strat I was trying to do, but I ended up getting ice by accident. But it's better than getting Bird. So Bird is the worst power up. Bird and Wheel, because they transform you and then have you going at a slower speed than you would usually. As I mentioned earlier, Spike and Sword are the best power ups because you can kill enemies and when a lot, and when you kill enemies, you get a good speed boost. So right here, there's a pretty risky spin dash that I can do on the end of that little platform to shoot me off into the hole at the top. And I am not doing this on a PB attempt, but if this gets into SGDQ, I would definitely try to do it all 3 laps. I'm pretty consistent at it, but unfortunately, if you miss it, you can die. And since I do this pretty late in the run, I don't really want to risk it, and I only save about a second on it, so it's not too worth it for me right now. But I might end up doing it in runs as my time gets better. So that was Valerian, or Celestial Valley. The Japanese names are a little different than the American names, and they're pretty funny. But so this is Steel Organ, which is Machine Passage in English. And so basically, I'm going to be doing a lot of different spin dashes here, like this one right here. A lot of them are very weird and technical. Right here, that one's a little scary because you could grab onto the rail, and then there's a lot of momentum things here too, and also a lot of wall boosting here as well. And yeah, just a lot. This is a very spin dash heavy level, so it gets a little. It's a little tricky. There's a lot of tricks to this one. We won't be getting too many power ups in this though. The main power up that we're going to be getting here is Needle. So I'm going to be doing that throughout the run, or throughout this run, this IL run. That's another thing. There's a big Japanese IL community that has been around for a long time, and I think since 2011, and they really found a lot of this stuff, and we've kind of just been adapting their strats and getting better over time until we're able to, really do the fastest IL strats. So all the strats you see here are all IL world record strats. I am not currently to that level yet. I did have an IL world record, but I'm not currently to a really optimized level in each IL yet. But we are basically doing all the same strats now, which is really good. Which is what really puts this submission apart from my previous submissions of all tracks, because now my time has improved by, I feel like it improves by a whole minute each submission, and now we're really getting optimized here. Basically, we're using wheelie scooter on every track, on mostly every track now, and there's still a couple tracks. I think I still want to do wheelie scooter on slick eventually. But that would only save a couple seconds. But yeah, like I said, now we're switching to just save, 5 seconds, like on Machine Passage. I used to do Rocket there, but now I can save about 5 to 10 seconds by using Wheelie Scooter. So it's all adapting. It's the new 2016 meta, and yeah. So this is Beanstalk Park. Basically, the main thing here is you do not want to get sucked up. Now, right here, I'm on that rail for a little while. There are basically 2 sets of rails there. That left rail goes faster, but since it's a longer distance, it's slower than the right rail. But it is faster to stay on it for as long as you can, because it makes you go faster. It improves your speed by about 20 kilometers, which is what the meter is going by, since this is the Japanese version. The American version goes by miles per hour. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We stay on that for a little bit. This spin dash is kind of tricky. You have to get it very early. Now right here, I hold down left and I tap A as soon as I get off of that rail, and it could send me in a couple directions. It could either send me flying up, or it can send me over one of the little routes in that area. Now this strat is really hard. I don't know if I got it yet in this run. but I got it right there. Basically, you carry your momentum from that green boost pad, and then you start boosting on the wall, and then you have to let go at the right moment, and you're able to go and land on that rail. And that's a pretty hard strat. If you miss it up, there is a spin dash that like saves you a lot of time, and basically you'll only lose a second if you do the backup really well. Also, I'm boosting on that wall. It saves a very small amount of time, but it's a lot of that optimization IL world record kind of thing. But that was Kirby Air Ride All Tracks. Thank you for watching, and I hope I helped convince you why this is a fast speedrun. Thank you.